I, 36 female, have been no contact with my narcissistic, emotionally toxic parents for a year now. I changed my number ages ago, but someone gave them my new number as they recently attempted to contact me. I'm only in touch with 4 mutuals: my sister, my aunt, a childhood friend, and a cousin who's not the child of the aunt in question. Before I changed my number again, I wanted to trap the rat, tell each one of them a lie, and see which one gets back to my parents before changing my number so I don't accidentally give it to the rat. Remember, these are all lies. I told my sister I'm having an affair, warned husband of this ahead of time. He's in on it. Told my aunt I think I might be a lesbian. Parents are very homophobic. Told childhood friend I think I'm pregnant. And told my cousin I'm moving back to my hometown, near where my parents live, for a job. Didn't take long. 3 days later, I got a text from Mom about how excited she was. I was moving back, and it was the perfect time to bury the hatchet. Cousin busted. I had changed my phone number and cut contact with my cousin and gave the other 3 my new number and told them the situation, that these were all lies, and I had to catch the rat to see who was giving info to my parents. My aunt and childhood friend understood, but my sister, while she wasn't the rat and never told our parents, thinks I went too far and is upset with me for lying to her and is insulted that I would think she'd betray my confidence. I told her I had to do this to protect myself from people who were leaking information. Am I the idiot for temporarily lying to family and friends to trap an enabler? Not the idiot. I think this was brilliant. You could tell your sister that you're sorry she was hurt. You'd be too in her position, but what would she have done to trap the rat? Hope she gets over this. I get the sting of it, but come on. Lie about something that isn't so horrible. Lie to one person at a time. You are the idiot, OP. You caused stress to your sister by saying you were having an affair. If my sister told me this, I wouldn't sleep for days. She didn't deserve that. She had to think about if she wanted to continue to associate with a cheater. Suppose she wants to tell your husband. The lies had to be juicy enough to be worth passing on. Doing it one person at a time, maybe. Starting with the person you suspect most. That takes longer, though. Just imagine the alternate timeline where your parents found out you were moving back home due to your husband kicking you out because of the lesbian affair that you had, but you're still pregnant with his child. Woo, boy. I'd watch that show. However, OP, I put myself in your sister's shoes, and I understand why she's hurt by the fact you considered her a suspect. Also, it's not that you told a lie, it's the specific lie. Telling her about an affair forces her into the moral dilemma of telling your husband and feeling bad for telling or not telling him and feeling bad for lying to him. Doesn't matter if there's no affair. To her, the dilemma's real. All other lies had no real impact on the other person's. Everyone's the idiot here. And the fact that you don't seem to recognize that this is kind of bonkers and pot stirring on its own is concerning. And aside from that, I think you'd be able to distinguish who you'd want around without this massive cloak and dagger construct behind it, to some extent. So choosing this alienating grand dramatic approach is crummy, especially because it caused your sister harm and now minimize it. I'd honestly call what you did emotionally abusive all on its own, with the lies and the manipulation. You owe her a sincere apology because you handled all of this really, really poorly. My sister wanted to honor our late grandpa in her son's name and chose to call her son Bobby, which is what pretty much everyone called our grandpa. She mentioned the name being so special because it was his beloved great-grandpa's name and that it would be so special for our grandpa to have his name live on. So here's the thing. Bobby was my grandpa's nickname, and he hated it. His actual name was Cyrus, Grandpa's mom's maiden name. Grandpa was named that by her, and after she died and his dad remarried, they started to call him Bobby because his stepmother's dad was Robert. Grandpa always hated Bobby, but after years of people refusing to listen, he gave in. He had a handful of friends who called him Cyrus or Cy, but that was it. I told my sister this, and she was upset and asked why he hated Bobby. Bobby's so cute. I asked her how she'd feel to be named after her late parent and for a surviving parent and step-parent to then rename her after the step-parent died unofficially, but to the point where it sticks more than her actual name. She was initially glad, but after a few weeks she snapped and told me she didn't like Cyrus, and I ruined the name Bobby for her. Am I the idiot for telling her the truth? Edit. Her baby wasn't born and is still not born, so I wanted her to know before he was here. Not the idiot. You told her the truth, and she couldn't handle it. It wasn't his name and he hated it. She's naming her son after stepmom's dad. While it stings right now, deep down, she will appreciate it. Honestly, this is her problem. OP only listed the facts and told her how it is. And the caveat is that the baby isn't even born yet, so it's not like there had to be a name change. Part of me wonders why this wasn't known to OP's sister. It doesn't seem like it was a family secret or anything. So I'm wondering if the sister did know and chose to forget about it until it was brought back up. I ruined the name Bobby for her. Nah, Cyrus's father and stepmother did that. And naming the kid Cyrus would actually be honoring the grandfather, but that doesn't seem to be the point. The fact that she didn't know this shows she wasn't that close to Grandpa, and her desire to honor him is just an excuse for her to name the child Bobby. The baby isn't born yet. She has no ground to blame you, and it would be better if the child would be saved from being named Bobby. I'm 56 and just finalizing my will. I have 2 children, Jack and Marge. Marge is disabled and can't look after herself. My wife and I take care of her at the moment. Our biggest worry is that when we die, she will not be taken care of. Our family has a good amount of money. It's enough that you could probably get by without working for the rest of your life and still have money left over. We're very fortunate and just got lucky for a lot of things. We bought cheap houses long ago, and they're now worth a ton due to the location. We made our will that Jack would only get the money if he took care of her. We can't be sure he won't take off with the money alone. If he doesn't care for her, he doesn't get the money, and it'll go to my nephew, who has the same condition. We have a few other backups, but I know my nephew would do it if my son didn't. It came up today asking what'll happen to Marge when we die, and I explained that I didn't want to lie and have it be a shock when we're dead. My son is angry, and the family split, so I came here. We looked into a trust, but it's not a safe option. There's a huge chance the money can be taken from her due to the law surrounding it. We're not in the USA, and we've spoken with multiple lawyers already. You are the idiot. It's not his responsibility to look after his sister. It's your responsibility to seek out proper care for her prior to your passing without forcing it upon the family and putting that in the will. For the record, people who are forced into caring for those who are disabled and have no interest in doing so are likely to get extremely stressed and depressed, and it can lead to them abusing or neglecting the disabled person. I laughed because OP says they can't be sure their son won't take off with the money and leave his sister without care, but they think he will take care of her on his own if they just leave him an inheritance. And you're sure your nephew's going to take great care of your daughter and not dump her and run, are you? Right, that struck me too. Why are you so sure your nephew will actually do what you say and take proper care of her? Split the inheritance 50-50, or heck, 40-60, or whatever, but take the daughter's portion and put the daughter in a facility that can care for her, and put it in the will that your son has to visit and check on her frequently. But forcing people with no medical or hospital or care training to take care of someone indefinitely for their inheritance is manipulative and will likely lead to resentment. You are the idiot, OP. Congrats! You just 100% showed your son he's nothing but his sister's potential caretaker to you. You can do what you like, but it seems crappy to tie an inheritance to his deciding to be a caregiver. My bet is that for much of his life, she was the one who got a lot of attention, and now even in death, you'll be putting her first. Update: I talked to my nephew, and this isn't an issue anymore. He wants to take over, so we'll switch the order. He'll take care of our daughter and get the inheritance. Now my son doesn't have to choose. I have 2 daughters, 23 and 20. They're beautiful and intelligent, and I love them both. I always wanted them to be strong and independent women who could stand on their own feet, and I tried to raise them that way. They were both interested in volleyball, and I always supported their interest. My younger is still playing in a team and studying at a good university. She's really hardworking, and even if she doesn't succeed in playing professional volleyball, she'll definitely have a good job. My older daughter quit both sports and school when she got pregnant at the age of 18. When she first told us she was pregnant, I was very upset and advised her to have a procedure because having a child at such a young age would disrupt her life. She didn't want to have it, and my wife supported her decision. I was very insistent on her at that time, but when I saw that she remained determined, I dropped the issue and supported her fully, even though I didn't want to. She got married quickly with the baby's father. Then she decided to stay home and care for her child, and her husband started to work. I never wanted my daughter to depend financially on her husband, but I never voiced it either. But of course my daughter knows that I'm bothered by this. Yesterday we were having dinner with my daughters and my wife. My wife and daughter started talking about being a mother. My wife told her that even though I wanted her to end it, I now love my grandson. My daughter asked me if that was so, and I said, of course I love him. I love my grandson, but my daughter knew that I was bothered by her situation, so it didn't sound sincere. My daughter said I could give her an honest answer, and I told her that I really loved my grandson, but was disappointed that she had become a mother early, had left school and her job, and was now dependent on a man. She didn't argue with me, but the rest of the night was tense. At the end of the night, she went home, and my wife started a fight over what I said. I told her that she was the one who wanted an honest answer, but my wife was sure that I was an idiot. My younger one agrees with me, but says I was rude to say it out loud. You are the idiot. I'm the daughter in this situation. I got pregnant when I was 16. Was it a great idea? Absolutely not. But once the decision was made, it was done. Well, my mom was exactly like you. Consistently brought up things like how she thought my life would be different. She was disappointed I'd become such a young mother and had much bigger plans for me. It's such a shame I didn't listen to her when she told me to abort, etc. for years. Well, guess what? Now I'm 37, happy and successful, and my daughter's 21 now, and one of the best people on the planet. But guess who I haven't spoken to in 4 years, because I got so tired of listening to the crap over the years? That's right, my mom. If you value your relationship with your daughter and grandson, it's time to let go of the dreams you had for her life and focus on being a supportive and kind part of the life she has now. I feel like you didn't even read what he wrote. He is not constantly bringing up anything. He was asked point blank and told to be honest, so he did. He also stated that he supported her after she made up her mind. This is nothing like your situation. Also, he's not saying he's disappointed in her for having the baby. He's disappointed that she decided to be a stay-at-home mom at 18 and has no plans to support herself. OP, you are not the idiot. She asked and you answered. And if your wife is mad, ask her what the heck she was doing bringing up that topic in the first place. Years later, she's asking, hey, your dad wanted you to get rid of your baby. Remember that? Jesus. Update. Your comments have actually helped me understand my ideas better. I'm not sorry that my daughter doesn't live the life I want. I'm sorry that she lives dependent on another person. And I can't say that their marriage is going very well. They chose the sport they wanted to be interested in, the university they wanted to attend, their hobbies, etc. I didn't force anything on them. All I want is for them to be self-sufficient. I also told my daughter I'd pay for a babysitter if she wanted to return to school or get a job. Yes, she's only 23 years old and could still have a career, but she's not doing that. I'm sure that one day her marriage will end. I can't explain in detail how I know this. Her husband doesn't have a high enough income and won't be able to support my daughter and grandson well enough. I won't be in her life forever, so I want her to have a career and be able to make money. I should have expressed myself better. You're right. I will apologize to my daughter for that and explain myself better. My 23 female mom passed away 2 months ago, and my fiance and I quickly became the sole guardians of my 3 younger siblings, teen, younger teen, and tween. As much as I loved my mom, I know how hard it was growing up under her and how we didn't have a lot. So when I left for college, I did feel guilty leaving my siblings there, knowing they wouldn't have much. But I did so for this very reason, so that I could make enough money to get a house that allowed me to house all of them if needed. They understood why I had chosen to go away to college and didn't resent me for leaving them there, which I'm grateful for. Although I am in the position where my siblings can stay with me for however long they need to, I won't lie and say things haven't been hard, especially financially wise. I went from caring for myself, my fiance, and our 2 dogs to caring for clothing, housing, and feeding 3 children who need stability. It was such a shocking flip to my world, and I'm just trying my best to do what's best for my siblings. However, one thing 3 teenagers can do is eat, and I fully understand that we grew up in a household where we would have food one week and then be home dry the next 2 weeks. So we truly never knew when we'd eat a full meal again outside of school. Yet that's not a worry my siblings have had to face here. It takes some saving and budgeting, but my fiance and I have devised a way to spend $1,400 a month to fully stock up the house. I've had small conversations about my siblings needing to be considerate of everyone in the house when it's regarding food, and telling them to take what makes them full and leave enough for others to be full as well. I understand the resources guarding mindset is very hard to get out of. I really do. But what else can I do? Things got bad when my fiance and I went grocery shopping at Costco on Thursday, and we usually buy a few snacks for the kids to snack on or take to school. We woke up Friday morning, and within less than 24 hours, all the chocolate chip cookies were gone, and they came in a pack of like 50. I called everyone down and explained to them that I would never restrict access to any food from them. However, they needed to be 100% considerate of everyone else in the house, who also needed to have access to the same food and snacks as them. I told them that we were going to start learning about portion control and saving food for others, and they all said that they understood, and that was the gist of it all. The reason I'm asking if I'm the idiot is that I went to my group for other people who have the same situation as me and talked about it, and another group member told me that I was a terrible person by controlling what they ate and that I was giving them an ED. I'm absolutely not trying to control their eating habits. I'm just trying to make sure everyone eats. Am I the idiot? And if I am, I'll absolutely apologize to them and find ways to help. Not the idiot. And maybe you can reach out to the nearest food bank and supplement the food that you buy. Teenagers are very expensive to feed. Use the resources in your community to help. I donate regularly to my local food bank because I want people in my community not to have to worry about feeding their families. Families like yours are exactly why I donate. Mate, these kids don't need more food. Yes, kids who are growing up eat a lot of food, but no one of sound mind eats 15 to 20 cookies in the span of 12 hours. And it's not just one of them. From your description, they each did this. OP, you're doing a good thing here and taking in your siblings. No, you won't give them an eating disorder if you implement your plan. Unfortunately, you're out of your depth. Their brains have been wired to worry about food constantly, and just giving them more isn't going to magically fix it. There's a physiological problem that needs to be addressed. The fact it's in the brain, rather than a broken toe or a tumor, doesn't make it any less real. They need therapy. My ex-wife and I got divorced months ago. We share custody of our 4 children, male preteen, young female child, male preschooler, and female toddler. This is our first Christmas being separated. We'd usually spend the holidays with my side of the family. We checked the schedule, and she's supposed to have the kids during Christmas, all 4 of them, which I thought was unfair to my family and me, especially my mother, since she can't enjoy the holidays without her grandchildren. I called their mom and suggested that she let me have 2 of our children spend Christmas with my family while she has the other 2. She refused, but I told her it was the best compromise. She said something about not wanting the kids to spend Christmas away from each other, but I explained how miserable my family and I would be this Christmas if none of the kids were around. She said no, and that I needed to prioritize the kids' feelings above mine and my family's, but I told her that this compromise was the best we could come up with. We got into an argument, and she insisted she won't let the kids be separated on Christmas, that if I had an issue with that, then I needed to go to court. So I snapped, and in a moment of anger, told her that no one could tell me when I got to see my kids. I called her bitter and selfish. Then she wished me luck in court and hung up. I tried to call her mother, hoping she'd reason with her, but she instead shamed me for being willing to separate the kids from each other just so I could please my family. She said that her daughter's doing what's best for the kids. My mother's devastated over this and thinks that my ex is being deliberately cruel. It still hasn't been figured out yet, and she's rejecting my calls. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. 4 kids under 10. Wow. I feel so bad for the ex. You probably made her do everything. I love we didn't need any unnecessary backstory on why you're divorced. You and your family are idiots, and your wife was done. Got it. Unfortunately, if your mother at her age and stage of life doesn't recognize that the well-being of the kids, especially during this first holiday season post-divorce, comes first, then she never will, and I'm very afraid you never will either. Sigh. Agreed. Your children are not emotional support animals for your mother. She needs to regulate her emotions, not stamp her feet and declare that Christmas is ruined if she doesn't get her way. I'm assuming care and custody arrangements have already been put in place, and you'll get to see your 4 children during the holidays, just not on Christmas Day specifically. Don't separate your children for selfish reasons. Also, which 2 kids would OP pick to bring? No better way to drive a wedge between siblings than favoritism or the appearance of favoritism. Splitting the kids up like that, where 2 get to see grandma and the other 2 don't, isn't healthy for the kids at all. OP's mom is at fault here, whining and crying about Christmas. Neither of them is thinking about what's best for the children. It's all about me, me, me. Exactly, because the miserable creature says she can't enjoy holidays unless the children are there to entertain her. These are the kind of people the King Solomon story was written about. Can you chop the baby in half so I can have part of it? If OP only had 3 children, he'd want to cut one in half. It still hasn't been figured out yet. Yes, it has been figured out, and it's settled by the courts. The kids will be together at Christmas with their mom. You just haven't accepted it, but it's all figured out, unless you decide to go to court, where the judge will laugh in your face and not split up the kids. Then it will be figured out, and you'll be broken. You are the idiot for all the reasons your wife told you, and likely a few more you haven't shared. My husband and I have 2 children, Danny, tween male, and Clarissa, young female. For 2 years now, we've fostered children. Our families have been supportive. Last Christmas, we had a long-term placement, Whitney. They were with us for 6 months at a time. My husband's family made sure to get her gifts if they were buying some for our bio children. Mine did the same, except for my mother. She got my kids really nice gifts, but Whitney got nothing. Whitney was a toddler, so she didn't notice, but it did rub me the wrong way. I talked with my mom, and she said she didn't think it'd matter, as Whitney would be going home soon. I told her in the future, of course gifts for our kids aren't expected, But if she buys one, she has to buy one for everyone. Whitney was reunited with her parents 2 months later. Shortly after, we got our next placement, Samantha. Samantha's a preteen. We don't know how much longer she'll be with us, but it does seem like reunification is on the horizon. Exciting for Samantha. My mom recently called me asking what the kids wanted for Christmas. She worded it just like that, not what do Danny and Clarissa, just the kids. I mentioned an idea for each child, including Samantha. She then said, "But she's going home soon." I replied, "Yes, but she'll be with us through the holidays at a minimum, and she's old enough to understand that the other kids are receiving gifts and she's not." My mom kept arguing, and finally, I said I wouldn't accept gifts for Danny and Clarissa. If she shows up with gifts for them, they'll be sent back. My mom told me I was being spiteful. I said I couldn't control her buying gifts for Samantha, but she won't exclude her. My kids are not the type to expect gifts. They wouldn't notice if Grandma didn't get them anything. Another relative who usually goes all out was having a hard time last year and didn't get them anything. They didn't say a word, so I know this won't even faze them. This also isn't an issue of money on my mom's end. She admits she could afford to buy Samantha something. My husband is backing me up, but some of my relatives aren't. Am I the idiot? Edit. My mom comes in person to drop off gifts, and she physically passes out the gifts, so it would be obvious if I gave her a gift while my mom excluded her. Not the idiot. And what on earth is wrong with your mother? You have redefined your family, even if temporarily, with these children, and it's not on your mother to decide if they're unworthy of care and respect. Instead, they should get equal treatment from family, as if they were your own flesh and blood. Glad you turned out to be a thoughtful person, despite the mother you have. Here's the deal. Your mother does not approve of you fostering children. She feels it takes away from her grandchildren. I'm sure she thinks that giving them gifts and not giving any to the foster child will show them that they are more loved. I'm sure all the foster children would be going home soon in her mind. Danny and Clarissa really wouldn't notice if they got no Christmas gift from their own grandmother? What? Oh yeah, you are the idiot. So your kids can't get presents because you want your random foster kid to get a present too. That's messed up, especially when the foster kids aren't permanent. They leave. As a stepmom, no bios of my own. My family doesn't send gifts for the steps. My family aren't being idiots. They just don't have a connection. I think that if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't go the all or nothing route. Instead, I'd be more inclined to just add an extra gift, so everyone's generally getting the same amount of things. I'm a 23-year-old female. My parents split up when I was 4 because my mom was having an affair with my dad's brother. After that went down, my dad went back to college and got another degree, and he's now working a very good job that he got through a friend and is very wealthy. My relationship with my parents was very strained, as my mom didn't let me see my dad until I was a teenager because she wanted to avoid talking to him. In recent months, my dad has started having a girlfriend who we'll call Sarah, 24. Sarah's obviously a sugar baby. She doesn't have a job, and my dad pays for everything. And Sarah's always bragging about the expensive stuff that my dad buys her. Her friends live a similar lifestyle. I have them as friends on social media. The fact that my dad is dating a woman a year older than me makes me cringe. I'm getting married to my partner, 24 male, next summer, and I've decided I don't want Sarah at my wedding. She's not his girlfriend or partner. She's his sugar baby. My dad obviously didn't take it well and said that Sarah's just as much a part of the family as my mom's new husband, and said that I don't get to decide which relationships are acceptable and which aren't. He said I was self-righteous, continued denying that Sarah was a sugar baby, and accused me of trying to manipulate him. He said I have my mom to thank because they aren't together anymore. My future mother-in-law and father-in-law even got involved and said that if Sarah came to the wedding, they wouldn't be going, as they think my dad's relationship is disgusting. My dad is not contributing financially to the wedding, and I'm not financially dependent on him. My relationships with both of my parents are not great because of previous actions. My uncle's not invited to my wedding, and after the affair, he was estranged from the family. My dad met Sarah on a sugar baby website, but said that their relationship changed, and she was his girlfriend. She's definitely a sugar baby, gold digger, or whatever you want to call it, but it's definitely not an innocent romantic relationship. So am I the idiot for refusing to invite my dad's sugar baby to my wedding? Nope. She can be a part of his family, just like my loved ones are a part of my family, but not a part of yours. It's your wedding and you can decide who's to be invited and who should not be. Not the idiot, OP. No need to invite, but be ready for years of sugar drama if you want to remain close to your dad. I also have an alarm bell ringing in my head that Sarah wants to use your wedding as another show-off opportunity, a chance to take selfies or go full influencer mode with her expensive baubles. Your father can deny it until he's blue in the face, but the age gap makes it painfully, glaringly obvious. If that wasn't obvious enough, the fact that she doesn't have a job and is going all influencer style to brag about what she got from your father makes it eye-catchingly obvious. She is a sugar baby. In addition, your future husband's parents can see that Sarah's obviously trouble. They're so repulsed by her that they don't even want to be in any sort of proximity to her, even if it's separated by a crowd at the wedding. They seem to be decent folks with a very active and functional moral compass. I wonder if the dad thinks his girlfriend would still be with him if he was poor or if he didn't pay for everything. Once the payments stop, she'll be gone and out. He might just be delusional. Sarah's work is still work, but it's super weird and awkward that the client doesn't seem to be aware that he's a client. Awkward. The man needs to get his life together. I'm sorry, but you are the idiot for inviting a cheater, not somebody in a relationship who isn't harming anybody. Your moral compass needs some work. It sounds like your dad may still have issues from being cheated on by his wife and brother. I was cheated on, but if the other person had been my sister, I don't think I'd be the same person I am today. And your mom kept you away from him, even though she was the one at fault. It's your wedding, so you can invite who you want, but I feel for the old man. Indeed, if he never got therapy to deal with that level of betrayal, that might explain why he's trying to push bringing a +1 to your wedding. He doesn't want to show up alone when your mother, the woman who cheated on him, shows up with her happily married husband. So basically, I, 19 female, was having lunch with my friend Sarah, 20 female, her new boyfriend Sam, 21, and a few of our other friends. English isn't my first language, so I do have a bit of an accent when I say certain words, and sometimes I fumble a bit grammatically, but it's never been so bad that no one knew what I was getting at. My friends all know this, and know that if I'm not asking to be corrected and the sentence is understandable, they don't really need to correct me. While talking, Sam noticed that I had an accent, so he asked me where I was from. I said that my dad is from the US, but my mom was from Brazil, so I spoke Portuguese and sometimes Spanish at home, but I only learned how to read and write in English. Sam kind of laughed and then said, "Your mom was from Brazil? How does someone stop being Brazilian? The word you should have used was is." My mom passed away when I was 12. Pretty much everyone at the table, other than Sam, was aware of that, so it got a little awkward and quiet when he corrected me. I shook my head and told him that, no, my mother didn't stop being Brazilian, she just stopped being alive, so that's why I said was. Sarah immediately got kind of angry with me and said that I didn't have to trauma dump at the table just because her boyfriend corrected the word I used in a sentence. I said that I wasn't really trauma dumping, I was just answering his question, but she said that I should have known how awkward it would get when I said something like that, and I should have just moved on without addressing it. Lunch ended early because of the tension, and everyone else was telling me that, yeah, I didn't really have to say it, but also, I really was just responding to what he said to me. Sarah's angry at me though, and I've got no idea how Sam feels about the whole thing because I don't really know him. I wanted to know if I messed up here and if I should apologize. Not the idiot. That's not trauma dumping. Trauma dumping is a consistent pattern of oversharing when one dumps their difficult, stressful, or traumatic feelings on others. You offering a simple explanation is not that. Seriously, he was trying to be smarter than her by correcting her English. She corrected his assumption. A normal reaction is, "I'm sorry," and everyone moves on. OP, I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry that you have a friend who is more interested in covering for her boyfriend's inexcusable rudeness than she is comforting you. Geez, with friends like these, who needs enemies? My biggest pregnancy craving right now is chocolate cake. We didn't have any left, and my husband was on an important call, so I asked my brother-in-law if he could get it for me, as my husband doesn't think I should be driving or going out late at night alone. When I asked, he was spending time with his girlfriend, so after he left, she was annoyed at me for interrupting them. She said I was rude and I should have gotten the cake myself, or asked somebody else since they were busy, and my brother-in-law wasn't my errand boy. I explained why I didn't go myself, but she said I was just making excuses. Am I the idiot? Edit. I'm 7 months pregnant. They were watching TV, and my husband could be on calls for hours, so I asked his brother. It's like a 5 to 10 minute drive. I could have waited, but I thought I would ask and see if he could get it. If he couldn't, I would have just waited for my husband to go. Well, you have to admit it. You were pretty rude to interrupt someone's date because you wanted cake. I believe you can download apps that deliver food instead of inconveniencing other people. You are the idiot. Also, pregnancy is not a disability. I don't understand this trend of pregnant women who act like they can't do things for themselves. I see a lot of this, like the pregnant woman who ate her sister-in-law's diabetic gummy bears when she could have just gotten some for herself. I wasn't like that when I was pregnant, but I know many pregnant women act entitled to having people do things for them. Who cares if OP is craving chocolate cake? Why can't she get some for herself? But OP would have to wait for 10 minutes, or maybe even 30 minutes for her husband to get off of his call. Gasp! She's pregnant and has a craving. Pregnant women can't go out alone. It's like a disease. I've been pregnant twice, and pregnancy cravings can wait. They aren't a huge deal to resolve right away, if at all. Unfortunately, she seems to lack patience. I never in my adult life asked someone to go out at night to buy me an immediate cake. That just seems like something a toddler would do. Disagree. OP is not the idiot. Everyone is ridiculous. She didn't force him to go, and he was at OP's house. The girlfriend could have gone with him. People aren't idiots for asking for favors. They're idiots when they demand, which OP did not. If he wanted to spend uninterrupted time with his girlfriend, he should go to his own house. Holy crap. Like, have you guys ever dated, been married, or, been a nice person? I'll drop a lot for some of the simplest favors for my in-laws. That can be anywhere from getting a sack of potatoes to taking care of their kids for a couple of hours. Why? Well, because I love them, and they do the same for me. Running out to get some cake for his pregnant sister-in-law, who's pregnant with his niece or nephew. I mean, I'm sure he could have said no if he wanted to, and why couldn't the girlfriend go with him if she wanted to? OP literally asked for a small favor, and he agreed to do it. Do these people feel inconvenienced when a family member asks them for something? Geez, this thread is hypercritical towards pregnant women.